Got No Control Podcast, graffiti podcast for all graffiti writers. I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, May Fresh Graffiti Shop, located inside the Lamo Indoor. Make sure to check them out for all your graffiti supplies and airbrush services. With that being said, let me introduce my special guest today, GuerillaOne. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. What's up? We out here, city of Long Beach.
outside.
Yeah,
I want to start by saying thank you for stopping by and giving us a little bit of your time to talk about, some graph.
yeah, man.
So let me start by asking, throughout the years, how has graffiti impacted you?
How has it not impacted me? I mean, I don't even. It's been such a common thread in my life. I don't even know how to answer that question.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? It's like when I was young, I had a life-altering trauma, and I found my tribe with all my writer homies.
Okay.
Like I found my family. We had in the early days it was different. We had everybody's back no matter what. We were always together. First thing you did was call your homies. Where are we going today? What are we gonna do? So I found a real sense of brotherhood in my crew and my crews. But I also I felt validated every time I saw my shit up, and my
Yeah.
homie shit up. And you go to San Diego and you see one of your tags from 4 years ago. It's just really made kind of created my identity, you
And
know.
I've had that same feeling. Sometimes you're in the middle of nowhere or wherever you're at and you see one of your tags and be like, damn, thing made it all the way over here.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's like not only do you feel good because it's there and you know how many people saw it, but you remember the moment you did it, who you were with, what was going on, and still writing, So early on, I just got addicted, to being up.
Man, that's a hell of a feeling.
Yeah.
So when you say early days, brother, what year were you talking that you got introduced or
I
started?
started writing in 1987.
1987.
Yeah.
And what was that attracted you to the graffiti?
Well, I mean, honestly, I was kind of lost. I had just moved to LA from Louisville, Kentucky, and I didn't really feel like I fit in because I was different. And I went out with some homies, and it sounds crazy, but one of my boys went to 7-Eleven and he went back into the back of the cooler
Yeah.
and stole 40s.
Okay.
And I went to look to get a 40 out, and he was already in the back of the cooler taking a 40. And I was like, damn, this is my tribe. Like these
Yeah.
fools are, it was different. And I was also kind of attracted to like what you write.
Okay.
Like when we'd go places, be like, what you write? What you write? It was kind of like that testosterone that kind of came with that. Who are you? Where are you from? Kind
Your
of thing.
identity type of
Yeah,
thing.
man. Yeah. So, but then it was also like, I hung out with, a gang of rich kids that wrote graffiti,
Yeah.
that weren't from the hood, that weren't broke, that didn't have to look for something. They already had everything, but they chose that. They chose graffiti as a way to express themselves rather than, soccer or
Music or anything.
the water polo. And,
Yeah.
they were like writers, but they lived in Encino in the hills, and, they wanted to be like us, and it was cool.
How did the community take it though? Now that you share a little bit about that they come from a more wealthy place to see them doing something like that. Was there ever a problem?
I mean, in the late '80s, early '90s, it was a problem for everybody wherever you were at.
Yeah.
Unless you were it was generational. But yeah, it was a problem. I mean, I remember when I had the Odd Spot 23, like the LA Unified School District banned graffiti T-shirts from school.
Oh wow, I didn't know that
I
one.
have a copy of the article. They banned you kids could not wear anything with graffiti on it to school. Because it was bad. Now the
Gang
same people,
affiliated.
yeah, now the same people that banned it are buying it.
Can you share a little bit about your shop?
Yeah, so I lived in the Valley, 818. Shout out San Fernando Valley,
Shout out San
um,
Fernando
Tarzana.
Valley.
You know, I lived in the Valley, and at that time, if you wanted a belt buckle with your initial on it, or if you wanted some Ben Davis, or if you wanted a certain pair of shoes like Chucks or whatever was hot, you had to go to 4 different places to get it.
Okay.
And catch a bus or 2 buses or 3 buses or go to Melrose to Hex's, a hip hop shop. And I was like, I want this to be accessible to us. I don't want to have to drive that far. So
Yeah.
I was like, tips, you had to go steal them from everywhere. You had to go to get cleaning supplies and pop all the tops. And
From the testers.
so I was like, let's open a shop. And that's what we did. We just opened a shop where we sold piece books, markers, scribes, T-shirts, hats. We sold third rail. Shout out to Risky. We
Shower
sold
risky.
Fuck. Shout out to Slick. We sold a lot of the early hip hop street. Some of the early what they now call streetwear.
It wasn't like today where you could just go to like www.com, send me this, send me
Yeah, no
that.
doubt. Or you can go to Urban Outfitters and get 3 outfits in one day.
Yeah.
You can be you get emo and hip hop and dressy all in one shopping spree.
And now that we talk about that, can you share a little bit about what was like the most common thing that the youth or the youngsters would buy at that time? Because I know it's a whole different style than what it is today. So you had the belt
I
buckle.
think I think at my shop, I think the thing that was probably there's two things that were the biggest. One was 555 Soul came out with these little rag hats, right? That were
Okay.
like they take the sleeve and cut both sides and then tie it on your head. That was one of the hottest items, and that was out of New York. And then the other thing was Gypsies and Thieves with the
Okay.
big giant bell bottom Raver jeans. We sold those as quick as we got them. Con art was big. Just anything with a graphic on it. Cokes was doing some great graphics for Cokes from AWR was doing some great graphics for Gypsies and Thieves.
Okay.
Anything had a can on it was dope. Anything dude shooting dice like the tribal and the guys from San Diego had the shooting dice was dope. I mean, just anything that depicted street culture that kids could get their hand on was hot. It was selling like hotcakes.
That's dope. Thank you for sharing that. And was these shops something that was like all over the place, or you only had like a handful of them available?
I mean, I only know of like two when I opened. There were certain shops that would take, a portion of what we were doing, but not dedicated to. Not where
Gotcha.
you could go listen to music, catch some MCs in a cipher or battling or DJs battling, buy
Yeah.
records, buy weed, buy gear, buy tips or markers. We sold ultra wides
Okay.
with the refills. So you couldn't. I didn't know any other stores that were doing all of that at the time.
Oh, so you guys had it going on, everything in one place.
That's right.
And talking more about the graffiti aspect of it. So did you have someone that kind of like got you motivated to paint aside of your homies that you mentioned? Was there a certain writer that was like,
Well,
damn,
I never really, I never really, I wasn't good at piecing. I was just good
okay,
at getting up and down to represent my crew, but the early guys that got me started was like the TCF. I'm from the Chosen Few. It's
okay,
my first crew. I'm also from ICR. Um, and, watching guys like Rage, Tag, watching guys like Wise and Mystic and Boo, just paint these murals that were just different than what everybody else was really doing. I mean, there was a certain style, like everyone had kind of a style, and these guys were just really different coming from the Valley. And I was just super enamored with what could come out of their head and end up on a wall.
okay,
So I would always, I just migrated towards that. I was just down with it. But then what really got me immersed in the culture was when I met Eclipse from AWR
okay,
and MSK. Because it was more organized, it was bigger, it was a little bit more real. They had meetings at the park, and
okay,
there's like 20 dudes. I was like, this is it. I used to
yeah,
go sometimes and just go meet him after meetings and just hang out from a distance and watch the meetings sometimes. And not like jockeying them, but just being like, there's something here that if you organize, you can, who knows what's possible. That was kind of the sense that I got from graffiti early on, watching how they moved. So instead of me getting better at painting, I got better at facilitating the business side of things,
got you.
getting people paid.
That's
That
dope.
was my excitement. Like early on with TCF in the Valley, these dudes would go paint walls for free for liquor stores. And I'm like, well, let's ask for 20 bucks and some beer.
Yeah,
Oh, they'll never do that. And I'd ask and they'd give us 20 bucks. And next time it's 40 bucks. Next thing you know, it's 100 bucks. Next thing you know, I started a company where we were airbrushing overalls and Fever. Shout out to Fever from LOD, CBS. TCF, he was painting overalls, and we're getting 100 bucks for overalls. So for me, it was really the business of graffiti was what made me excited.
okay. And how do you deal with those guys that don't respect the business sides? Because you know how you have some guys that are so stuck in their ways that they don't appreciate the business aspect of graffiti. They see it as like that's not real.
I don't know any dudes that don't see it, that don't understand that graffiti is a business anymore. If you don't get it now, you're never gonna get it. You got dudes like Retina. I mean, a lot of dudes that I'm close to are doing really well. So if I just don't even have conversations with anybody that don't understand the business side of things anymore. It's too obvious. You know,
Okay.
McDonald's, I mean, all corporate companies are using it now. You know, early on it was hard for us to get money from companies, and now they're robbing us and stealing our imagery, and also sometimes paying us fair wages or more than fair wages to be associated.
And do you think street artists had anything? Because I know a lot of people talk about street artists, right? And they have this image in their mind about street artists. What is your take on that? Do you believe that it kind of like took away from the graffiti world?
I mean, there you asked two questions, so I'll answer the first one. Yeah, I believe it did kind of take away from graffiti. Some of the elements that we started, like that why graffiti artists did it early, the illegal portion of it. You
Yeah,
know, the the few, you know, the chosen few that did graffiti. Now anybody can do art and you know, call it street art, and then it's kind of who the general public doesn't understand the difference. So yeah, I believe it did take away, but it also gave a little bit to graffiti too. It's like, you know, a more subtle version of what we do being accepted by housewives and fathers in schools allows some of us to, you know, bend the narrative a little bit
yeah.
to get off what we need to. You know, I in my early days with GuerillaOne.com, with me and Casey with Eclipse and Mystic, you know, I wanted to interview artists that weren't necessarily graffiti artists because I saw it coming together at some point. You know,
Okay.
it's called evolution. Everything evolves. Like, look at hip hop. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I was around when the Baker Boys got their show on the radio and was giving away gear from my store, and now there's regular whole stations dedicated to hip hop all across the world.
Yeah.
So everything has to evolve. So, you know, and if we would have been like, okay, graffiti's going to evolve, we're just going to be able to illegally paint everything we want, and there's nothing you can do about it. That wouldn't have worked very well, right? We need, you know, girls out there putting in the work that don't look like us and aren't
Yeah.
going through the same things we are to help push the art from forward so it can all grow. It can all grow together.
Definitely. Yeah, because some people have their own way of thinking, and
I
some
mean,
people.
that's a big topic though. Like I could tell you something else, and I've been recorded saying something else, and I will say something else. I think as much as I, you know, see the value in what street art has done for art, period. You know, I think street artists could learn a lesson from paying dues and showing respect.
Okay.
You know, because we had to pay dues and we had to show respect. You know, to get in
Definitely.
my crew, I had to go write my name 1,000 times, and then they judged me on that and told me which ones were good, which ones were bad. Don't do that no more. Shouldn't have hit that spot. Like I had to jump through hoops to get in my crew. Now it's just like, oh, you're hey, well, let's have a IP, and you're in the crew. Let's go put up some stickers. You know,
Yeah,
I think, you know. So I think the new guys could learn a little bit from the old guys. You know, about respect and paying dues.
I've had a lot of guys mention them being mentored by somebody. Was mentoring something that was important to you? Like, did you have a mentor? Some way around the.
I think a lot of my, you know, yes, I have tons of mentors. All they were all my brothers. They were all my mentors in one way or another. You know,
Okay.
my relationship with Eclipse has been priceless. My relationship with Pure has been priceless. Mystic, priceless. Boo, priceless. Rage, if it wasn't for him putting me in the crew, I wouldn't even be in graffiti. Wise One from KSN, TCF. I mean, all of them are my mentors in one way or another
Okay.
because collectively we're individually we're one thing, collectively we're something else. So if
Okay.
we can borrow certain traits and certain personalities and certain ways of doing things, whether it's styles or just how to move, you know, you just become a better person. So I think pretty much, you know, a lot of graffiti dudes out there have been mentors to me. I'm not like egotistical where like I'm the man, you know. That's why crew was so important to me and still is.
Definitely. Yeah, because I mean, someone like me, bro, like me coming up, I ain't never had a mentor, so I did a lot of dumb things to learn, and it took a while, but I maneuvered
That's
it.
right. That's right. I mean, Risky was a big mentor for me too. You know, I worked for off and on with Risky for, you know, since Oddspot, you know, and
Okay.
I learned a lot from him. Some of the things I took with me, and some I left behind. But you know, if you're smart and you're a graffiti artist or anybody, you learn from those around you.
And the
Um,
name Odd Spot, is that something that meant something to you, or is that something you just came up with?
Only thing meant something was the 23 because I was 23 years old.
Okay.
I was like in such a mindset where I thought we were so cool that everyone was throwing names around. I'm like, it doesn't matter, guys.
Yeah.
Odd spot, because it's an odd spot in the hood. There's nothing like this. They're gonna come,
Yeah.
whatever we name it. And everyone was like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "Well, I'm paying for it, so that's what it's gonna be." And then it worked.
It must have been a great feeling being 23, having a shop. We got it going on.
It was a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure. But it was nice to have a home base where I could see the homies feel good about what we were doing and watching us grow, and then also the kids coming in, bus chasers coming in, and really seeing what's possible was probably the most exciting part.
Okay, for someone that might be seeing this and doesn't understand what a bus chaser is, can you explain a little bit of a bus chaser?
Well, back then, a bus chaser was someone that just primarily hit buses. So if a bus pulled up to a stop, they would be chasing the bus, finishing their name, or getting on and off the buses, just making sure that they were all sitting on all lines.
And then they just hit them with the big tags.
Yeah, whatever they had, mostly like mean streaks or scribes. But, and that person generally probably couldn't piece and didn't want to, because all they wanted was the fame of their name being up. And that's my definition. I'm not sure what anybody else thinks, but
Okay.
that's my understanding.
At any point in while you were coming up, a graffiti writer, and then your shop, did the New York graffiti ever have like a big impact on you?
Well, yeah, we used to watch all the films,
Yeah.
all Star Wars and Videograph. Were like, I still have them on VHS. We used to stop and look and listen. The lingo, everything was important. For me, probably the first graffiti writer that I became close with was Ket from the Museum of Graffiti in Miami.
Okay.
I met him through Risk, and he was just a cool dude, and I met Doze Green early on. So, those guys definitely had an impact because they were just so different. LA and New York are very, very different. No matter what you do, there's a different kind of vibe to it all.
Yeah, because I've been in conversation where they have debates where some guys would be like, "Well, we already had our style of graffiti here," but then you have the New York guys would be like, "Well, we brought the certain style down here," so everybody has their own take on that,
I mean, I think everybody borrows from everybody.
and I think
I
it's a
think
good
they
thing.
had the wild style down early,
Hmm.
and there's no disputing that. But I think once kids here grabbed a hold of anything, they had their way with it.
Yeah,
Like LA can't be, you know, whatever happened there first might have happened there first, but you can't front on LA.
definitely not.
You can't front on, and that's not just because I'm from here, because I'm not really I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, even though this is my home. But I mean, I think LA helped take graffiti to a whole nother level, especially the MSK kids and Revoke and Saber and Retina. Like once they started going wild,
Yeah,
I think everyone was chasing them.
yeah, and they were a big impact for LA graffiti. I mean, a lot of people seen their stuff and be like, "Damn, these guys are killing it."
100% Zest. I mean, that those guys. Once that whole thing happened, it didn't matter where you came from or what style you had. It was like, what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
Let's see what you got now, because they were pressing the boundaries. 100%.
And what do you still keep your eye open? Like, do you still see graffiti like when you're driving around or you're out and about? Do you kind of still keep an eye on how graffiti is today than what it was before?
100%. On the way here, we were on the 405, and I saw this wall that was just mobbed, and I was
Yeah.
like, damn, look at that. That looks great. Like I felt that settling feeling. I was like, those fools all had fun right there.
Yeah.
There was like 12 throw ups, and one of them had like a mirror blend, and I
Yeah.
was like, that you can just every single person there was scared, they were having fun, and now when they drive by, they're fucking happy. So I was all that emotion going on right there. That's what I see.
And what do you think about graffiti today? Do you think it's gonna keep getting more popular, or do you think it's gonna stay where it's at?
Well, if you'd asked me that a month ago, I would have told you something different than today. But I went to Chop 'em Down's thing
Okay.
downtown,
Oh yeah, I heard about it. It was a good show.
and a couple thousand kids came. L.A. City graffiti removal bill probably jumped up. I mean, I don't want to put anything out there to be recorded and documented, but
Yeah.
everyone had a great time. Let's just say that. When I got there early, there was 500 kids outside, or adults, and when I left, there was 1,000 still waiting to get in.
Oh
So
wow.
I that answers that question. where it's not graffiti's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like graffiti's here to stay. It's just going to change. It's going to go in and out of phases. But I still get up, and I'm 53 years old.
It's here to stay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a drug. Graffiti's a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
And if you're addicted to it, you stay addicted to it mostly. I know very few people who have gotten out, because they grew up.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. Like, I had to grow up. Like, to me, I kind of never understood that. I'm still trying to understand it. Like, I mean, is it something that they might be ashamed of, or?
I mean, if it depends on, sure, like if you get married to a nice person that never was being exposed to graffiti and
Yeah.
doesn't come from for where we come from, and you're at Nobu having dinner and you're like, I'll be right back, babe, and you go scribe the bathroom mirror, she might not be all that into that. You know what I mean? But, for me, like I roll around with my family. Like my kids think it's cute that I'm putting up stickers at 53. Like
Yeah.
I'll stop the car, get out, hit all four crosswalk signs, get back in the car. I'll be in a hurry and I still want to do it because it's a neighborhood I haven't been in a while and I know I'm not up. So it's just, I can see how if you're a normie, you would be annoyed by that. But if somebody's with me, they got to know. They just got, that is what it is. I let them know from the beginning.
Okay.
First date, I'm pulling the stickers out. You know what I mean? I got a little marker. What's that for?
Are your
And I'm drawing
children
on the tablecloth.
are your children at the age where they understand what a graffiti writer is?
Oh yeah, my kids are 22 and 19. My
Oh
kid
yeah.
my kid was just in Japan and she sent me a picture of a me and Bleak collab sticker in Japan.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you've got to travel other countries
I
and
didn't go.
oh okay.
Bleak went, but I also sent stickers out to some of the homies. Like for instance, these right here. I don't know if you can see this, but I
The
just did some
GK.
collab stickers with GK and MQ and sent them some. So, I'm assuming that I'll be up in those areas too because their friends might help out or whatever. Who they give them to, they might end up up. But yeah, I'm in a bunch of different countries because I got friends that travel.
Oh, that's dope. Um, I'm getting there one day.
Yeah, well, give me some stickers. I'm going.
So
I'm going to Kentucky next week. I'll get you up in Louisville.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
I was out there like a year ago. Coming up, the younger gorilla one, the teenager gorilla one. How did mom and pops take it when they found out their son was a writer?
My mom died when I was 16, so she never knew.
Sorry to hear that.
It's all good. And my dad, we weren't close when I was young. So he, by the time we got close, I don't even know if he really knew, I was a
Okay.
writer because we got close when he got sick with cancer, and I used to take care of him. And I believe I got up when I'd go visit him, but I don't really remember any of that because it was not a great time. But I will tell you this, I did other illegal things, and he wasn't all that happy about it,
Okay.
and wished better for me, you know.
Would it kind of bug you if one of your children will come to you and be like, "Hey, pops, like I feel like I want to be a writer." Like, would it be
Well, both my kids are girls, so I would think that was fresh.
okay?
I'd be like, that's fuck yeah, let's go, you know. But no, not at all. I just had a conversation with, damn, who was I talking to? I forgot who it was, but somebody I was with the other day said their 10-year-old is starting to pick up the marker, and they were excited. His baby's mama wasn't excited, but he was excited.
Hey, Dad, show me a little something.
I mean, look, it can be it can be a multi-million-dollar career. Not to mention you can meet a lot of great people and it can teach you some shit about life.
Yeah,
You learn quick when you get out there and you see other people and you learn what to and what not to do, when you're out there.
definitely. And you still travel back to Kentucky? Is this
I do. I do. I'm doing Shepherd Fairey's going to do a 23-story mural of Muhammad Ali.
okay?
And I got Tristan Eaton hopefully coming back to do a 8-story YMCA in Louisville. And we're going to open a gallery back there. I think it's like it's overdue for me to bring some LA culture, some international culture to Louisville, Kentucky.
And how's the graffiti down there? Like
Banging,
yeah,
banging. There's a place called Spinelli's.
Spinelli's.
Shout out to Brian, but he's from Philly.
Okay.
And he opened a pizza place. And funny story is the first time I walk in there, there's a giant 5 and 7th letter sticker on the cash register.
Ooh.
There's a painting that says 7th letter. And I'm like, to the girl, I said, is the owner a graffiti writer? And she's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, come on, I need to talk to the owner. She's like, well, I needed you can write your name and number down. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to start taking all the seventh letter shit off the wall if you don't get the owner on the phone. And then he called me and came down and spoke to me because she was being protective
Okay.
because it's not like here, you know, they don't really sweat them because there is a big scene there. But it's not as much as it is here. But they just had a whole paint day for Tubuck.
Okay.
There's an artist out of Louisville named Tubuck that was internationally famous, and he passed. So they did
Rest
the
in peace.
Tubuck, yeah, rest in peace, Tubuck. They did a Tubuck invitational, and a lot of artists flew in from around the world to go paint. And I was home for that a couple months
That's
ago.
dope.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when you say 50-50, like you got a lot of graffiti art, but as well you also have the vandalism part of it.
It's mostly vandalism there.
Oh,
Yeah, there's it's all most of the murals I see back there that are legal are not graffiti, except for what they did with the Two-Buck Invitational. It's mostly, you know, horses and Louisville related
like
art that the
traditional
city can
type
deal
thing.
with. Yeah, the city can deal with.
Man, the
But
city,
but the
yeah,
city's mob though. The city is mob. Like they get down out there,
yeah,
especially after the Two-Buck Invitational.
yeah. I just dealt with that the other day. They commissioned me to do a wall, and I go to the city to get a permit, and they were talking about we don't allow that here. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
What city
man,
was that?
Carson.
Yeah, I believe it.
I was like, you guys for real right now? And they
Mm.
were, I thought they were playing. I started laughing. They were dead serious. I was like,
No, I
man,
mean,
these guys.
some people just don't understand, you know. So you got to hide it. You got to throw a character in there and flip it on them.
What do you think it's a good step for an active graffiti writer that gets to a point where he's like, maybe I want to get into like the business aspect. What do you think is a good first step to take?
I don't really know that answer. I think it all depends on who they are, their circumstances, and their resources.
Okay.
So that answer is different for different people. But I do think, you know, if anyone is a writer and they want to get into the business side, there are people out there that are doing it. I would reach out and ask for some help,
Okay.
ask for some guidance. You know, I don't want to throw my name in that hat because I don't want to get a gang of calls of people that I can't really help.
Yeah.
But like, you know, people, you know, just reach out. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for guidance. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You
Don't
know,
let your
if
ego get in the way.
yeah, well, I mean, people just it's not necessarily ego. People are just discouraged because they don't know how to do something. You
Okay.
don't know how to do it until you do it. You want to make t-shirts, call the company, get a t-shirt made, make one, do a pre-orders on those so you don't go burn up 100, $400 on t-shirts you can't sell.
Yeah.
Figure out a print on demand solution for your prints called Sugar Press. I own a print company, or I'm a partner in a print company called Sugar Press Art, and we have situations where sometimes you'll pay for the prints, we'll give you a great deal, and then if any more sell, we'll print them as they sell for you.
Okay.
So you just got to get out there, go to the swap meet, and set up. I mean, everybody clowns a guy on Venice Boardwalk selling art, but if you want to be in business, you got to start somewhere.
I
So
totally
pull up
agree
in
with
your
that.
neighborhood in front of the liquor store with a table
Yeah.
and a radio and start talking to people.
Hey man, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
I try to support those guys as much as I can because I come around them a lot, and a lot of them message me too, like, "Hey, can I send you this? Can I send you that?" Yeah, yeah. Send it through, man. I'll wear
yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, I get gifted a lot of stuff too, and at a certain point, I feel bad saying no, but I have to because I can't wear it all or hang it all in my house. But giving stuff to certain people is a good look too because they'll talk about it.
Yeah, they'll share it and then
Yeah,
exposure.
100%.
Yeah, because I get that question asked a lot, and then for me to answer, I don't think I'm in the right position to be answering that question. So,
Well, I
for
think that question is really dependent on the individual,
yeah,
what resources they have, and what kind of people around them they have. If they're fucking around with a bunch of losers that aren't getting their paper, they're gonna stay not getting their paper. But if they're with a bunch of dudes that are getting paper and kind of have a little bit of got a little bit going on, regardless of what it is, that the game is the same.
yeah, because it's easy to get caught about it in bad habits, bro, and be right there like, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some bad habits before, but I'm 158 days sober today, so I got no bad habits. I still got some bad habits, but at least not those.
I think my bad habit right now is drinking coffee. I drink like 2 cups a day.
That's a good habit. I drank two before I left the house and two on the way here.
I think that's my only bad habit. When it comes to graffiti beef, brother, how do you feel that should get addressed? Like, what do you think should? Because some guys say you could talk about it, but other guys don't want to hear it. How do you think it's a good way to address it?
Depends on the severity of the situation.
Okay, let's say something like I don't know, a guy going over the guy, but he burned them on the wall. Because I believe, like, if like for example, let's say you go to a war and there's just a tag right there, a big fat tag, but you do a nice piece over it. I feel like
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
good.
those are the general rules. We all
Yeah.
know those. Throw ups over tags, pieces over throw ups, better piece or throw up over pieces and throw ups. But I think, you know, that's a big question. I don't really have the answer for that one. I think once again, it depends on who you are and what your resources are. I mean, if you're, I mean, the street art guys beef. Like I just went, had a couple conversations with kids that are street artists talking about going over each other and having issues, and
Well, I didn't even know that one.
it happens. Violence is never the answer, okay, because it doesn't solve anything.
Yeah.
Everyone loses, and when violence becomes the solution. I'm not saying it's. I'm not. That's all I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So I think being reasonable about whatever your problems are with someone, you can figure it out. Reason with them. Sometimes violence is necessary though. Like you
Yeah.
sleep with somebody's lady, or you go over a burner with a tag, and somebody catch you out there, you're catching one. That's just
Yeah.
what it is. But that goes back to street artists having respect and paying dues. Graffiti artists need to kind of understand the same thing, which sometimes they don't. It is what it is.
Yeah, because I know sometimes, I mean, I've seen things where like you have a nice mural, but since he's a street artist, here comes a guy and catches the tag.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, I manage a yard on Melrose, or at least I co-manage a yard on Melrose called the Fame Yard,
The fame yard.
and it usually stays pretty clean. Like people don't come in and disrespect it, but sometimes we have these toys that come in and just they're either drunk or don't respect whoever the people are, and they come in and tag over shit. It's like, but I just let that go because that's an endless battle. If somebody came and did it once, you're not gonna be able to tell them not to do it again or explain why they shouldn't have done it because they did it. So for me, I just I avoid the drama and just keep it pushing.
Definitely, man. For anybody that doesn't know about the Marrows, you guys got to go down there, man. Them alleys. I remember going down there as a kid. I was like 11 years old down there.
Yeah, CBS alleys. I talked to Anger this morning.
Man, I had the pleasure to speak with Power, and we had a good conversation. And them alleys, bro. I remember there used to be a graffiti shop right there. I forgot the name of it because I was so young, but I would just walk in there and buy like a marker.
Yeah, well, that hip hop shop was down there, which was next to Sporty LA. I don't know what else.
Because I had
What else
my
was down
buddies
there?
were like punk rockers, and they would buy leather jackets next door, and the graffiti shop would be like right there. Boom.
Yeah, Beat Nonstop was there for a while. I think they had some stuff.
I was like, man, they got some dope stuff down there.
Yeah.
So when 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 a guy has like the option, right? You know, some guys want to be oneers, or some guys want to be part of a crew. Do you think that's like in a way something that would affect the writer, like a graffiti writer? I personally believe that is what you want to do. But do you feel like being a oneer or being part of a crew will make a difference?
Of course. I mean, I'm a crew guy. I think I'd hate to be a graffiti artist out there on my own. That sounds horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, what happens? You get into some beef or some drama.
you're all alone.
Yeah. It's on you. Especially against a crew. But then there's also the mediating part of it all. If you're part of a crew and some people get along and some don't, you come together and you squash it or try to have a conversation or fist fight and get it over with. You know what I mean? I can't even imagine not being in a crew. Wouldn't even know what that looks like.
It could get tough. You're right, though. You get tough. You land in the situation where like you got a bunch of guys on you. You're gonna be right there by yourself. Like,
Yeah,
damn.
you're gonna catch one and you got nobody to help you.
Just
You
close
know?
your eyes and. So I appreciate the stuff you brought today. We could talk a little about it. I wanted to start talking about this the
Artist for trauma.
artist for trauma. If you could share a little bit about this.
So about a year ago, I started working with this organization called Artists for Trauma. Laura Sharp, the founder, is a helicopter crash survivor, and
Okay.
she used art as a part of her healing component. Her healing process. She was bound to a wheelchair for 4 years, and she learned to sculpt and paint. And worked with some of her friends who are artists to create a body of work. Some of that work was based on the 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 bandages and the wristbands that she had in when she was in the hospital. She created a sculpture. And when we met, I met her at Risky's, and I
Okay.
was like, you know, I've been a pretty selfish dude most of my life. Everything I did, there was a good reason for it. I'd help people, but it was to help myself at the end of the day. So I was like, let me go ahead and be a service and jump in head first on this and really try and, be of service and help other people with nothing and no expectations.
Okay.
So now what we've done is, I've become an executive member of the team. We do art shows to raise funds. We bring graffiti, street artists, fine artists, photographers. poetry, anything together in these experiences and try to raise some funds for them. We also do art installations at hospitals and institutions across the country, and we provide art supplies to people who do not necessarily have the resources or the accessibility to get them, like vets that are at home with PTSD that don't want
Okay.
to leave. We ship them boxes of art so they can take a breath, and create.
Definitely. I want to thank you for that because not many people think like that, of giving back and helping others.
I mean, I'm fortunate. Art has given me a life beyond my wildest dreams. So if it can do it for me, it can do it for anybody.
For anybody that mm, could benefit off of this, they could find the information on Instagram, on social media,
Yeah, it's just at Artists for Trauma,
at
or
artists.
online it's artistfortrauma.org.
Awesome.
And if you follow me at GuerillaOne, you'll see a bunch of different posts about it. And then another thing we're doing is,
The book.
yeah, so this is Aware Now magazine. It's an all cause related publication.
Okay.
So there's 47 contributors worldwide, and it's about the solutions, not the problems. We obviously have to address the problems, but we talk about the wins, not the losses.
Yeah.
And my addition to the publication is bringing in artists to talk about their experiences. I have a column called "The Writing on the Wall,"
Okay.
and I talk about artists and what they've overcome to get where they are, and some of the hurdles they have in front of them in their life. And spirituality is a big piece of that component as well.
Where can somebody find this or buy this?
Awarenessties.us.
Okay.
Once again, you follow GuerillaOne, you'll see something about each one of these things all the time. So those of you, I'm sure if you're a writer, you know about black books. If you don't, go get one. Take it everywhere you go. So
Yeah.
from the early days, I have black books, probably 10 to 12 black books spanning over 25, 27 years of my life in this art form. Some greats are in some of these books, right? Like this is a little one, they got different sizes,
They even
different
have the baby
sizes.
pocket size one.
Yeah, no doubt. Slick hit that side, right? So if you flip through here, I got some great stuff. Cartoon, Mr. Cartoon '07, Dalek, Trickster, Rapid Fire Crew.
Oh.
But point being about these books is I got people from all over the world that have contributed to these things. Shepard Fairey did something in here. Eclipse, Next, rest in peace, Next,
R.I.P.
MQ. But I got a book coming out. Dame from MSK, Stormy Mills, Brock 77,
And the book's gonna contain all these guys in it.
Wise. Well, yeah, I'm taking a culmination of or a combination of all the different books that I have, and I'm
Okay.
publishing Gregory Siff. And it's but it's also gonna there's a sticker section, there's a male sticker section,
Okay.
because male stickers are dope. Man One, Tempt. We did a Tempt show that we did a benefit for Tempt. Um, it's going to be a bunch of different things from these books. Like
Mhm.
for instance, like let's look at this one, right? Like I got some fire for you.
The big one, the big guys right
Yeah,
there.
this is the big book. But let's see. You got Espo, you got Charlie, you got some Shepherd stencils. I know they're backwards, but we're gonna flip it when the heat comes, and it's coming. I think right here.
Ooh.
So those of you that are a fan of Revoke, I mean, look at that fire right there. You know what I mean? And I just want to share some of these things with the world so people can get excited, about Sever. Just get excited about what this thing is. There's GK when he was writing Screw. You know what I mean? Like this stuff is old. It's very, very old. Minor. Those of you know who Minor is from LA. So coming out early next year, hopefully on my birthday, January 23rd, I'm gonna have GuerillaOne Volume One, which will be a combination of all these peace books and these generous gifts that these people have given me over the years, and I want to share it with the world. Only
Then that's
250 copies made.
only 250.
Yeah, and it's going to come in a box, so you're not just getting the book. You'll get a mini print of me and Plastic Jesus. You'll get 25 sticker pack from Shepherd, and maybe we'll put one of yours in there. 25 different stickers, T-shirt, stencil. So for $100, you get a book and a bunch of other different gifts.
Sign me up.
Yeah, man. Pre-orders coming soon.
Yeah, yeah. So, what would you tell that kid, brother? Like that kid that might see this, or the kid that out there to just started painting, or just started catching his first tags. What'd you tell that kid?
I don't know. I mean, don't get caught. I think that's the number one killer for a graffiti artist is getting caught, because then your parents are involved and so is the law, and you get scared to get caught again. Just don't get caught.
And they gotta pay these big old fines,
Yeah.
big old tickets,
Or
like,
do some time now.
like damn, bro, all I did was catch a tag, and you want how many thousands of dollars?
Yeah.
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 I've seen guys get caught up, and they gotta pay big bucks.
Well, they base it on how much the damage is for removal.
Yeah.
So your one tag could be $50 to remove. So I put up stickers a lot. Like, that's just what I do. And I used to do it for clients. So let's say I go work a record and they see 200 dilated people's stickers. They charge the label $40 a sticker for removal.
Oh wow. So
that's the fine.
So posting stickers is still considered vandalism?
It's illegal.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's illegal.
So even if the skateboarders do it,
doesn't matter. And if you put a sticker up in an whether it's private or city property, that is, again, without permission, that's illegal.
Yeah, I had no idea that was illegal.
Mm-hmm. Now you got a whole nother respect for sticker bombers, huh?
Because
we be breaking the law too.
Because you know how some guys be like, oh, stickers, I rather do tags and I don't know what, and then it's a big old conversation. It's like, hey, bro, everybody does what they want. That's the way I see it.
I mean, I think you got to do it all.
Try a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I just recently picked up a brush, man. It's a whole different ballgame than a spray can.
It sure is. I'm not real good with a brush or a can, but I just, for me, the vandalizing illegal part of it is really what I'm into, if it's not the business side.
Okay.
I get a really good feeling walking into a place 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, getting a photo of a toilet at a strip club that my homie took a picture of my tag on, like, because I hit toilets. Toilets are great. Everybody's got to piss, and what are you doing? You're looking down at the toilet while you're pissing. So a scribe on a toilet seat is fucking perfect, right? Or the lid. And when I get a picture like, yo, I'm in New Orleans and look at what I saw, that there's nothing better than that.
Yeah,
that's a win for me.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's crazy how being a writer, you walk into the bathroom and you just start scoping out.
Yeah.
What's here? What's that?
That's right.
What's this?
I mean, sometimes, like the other day, I was out to eat with one of my homies, and he went to the bathroom and caught a scribe and didn't get me up. I was like, I'm confused. I mean, I bought lunch and you didn't get me up. 4 more letters would have been 2 seconds.
That's how you feel about me?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, man.
No love.
Man, it's funny though. I mean, it's not funny, but it's interesting how the mind of a graffiti writer is different than your ordinary, person just being in the restaurant. Like as a writer, you might be looking around like, okay, I see that over there, and I see this. But to the ordinary person, they're just sitting there and eating.
Yes, but how about this? Well, never mind. I'm not gonna do it. Never mind. I'm not gonna incite illegal activity.
Is there any story that maybe still sticks out to you to this day from back then or recently that you could share with us? Maybe a story where you were out there catching a tag or putting up a sticker, something that stood out.
I mean, I guess I can tell you about the first time I got chased out of a train yard.
Okay.
So I was at the Reseda yard on Reseda and Van Owen, I think, and I was with Boo and I think Boo and Mystic.
Okay.
And I'm really aware of my surroundings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because for a while I did a little bit more than graffiti, so I had to be real on point about who I'm around and what's going on.
Okay.
And I heard a helicopter. I was like, it's a helicopter, guys. They're like, oh, your chick, stop tripping. It's not, we're good. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, man, it's hovering. They're like, nah, we're good. I said, all right. And I started to kind of back up a little bit from where I said, I'm going to go hang out over here. You guys, and they just kept painting. And then I looked down on both sides at the yard, and there's cops with dogs and flashlights.
Yeah.
But I had a good step ahead of everybody already, and there was only one way you could get out, and it was like halfway between the cops and the dogs. Okay. But I had a head start.
Yeah.
So I just boned out, and I ran back down I ran through this little cut in the fence. I slid down some ivy, got onto Reseda Boulevard, cut to the other side of the street, and got on the bus.
Yeah.
And I seen the cops come in, and then they finally called me on my phone. They're like, where are you? I'm on the Reseda bus going north. And then I remember I was looking around, wondering if they got caught. And I looked over, and Mystic and Boo were in the car next to me waving. And I hit the cord and got off. They're like, damn, where'd you go? I was like, I told you.
I'm gone.
Yeah, I'm out.
I ain't out here playing games.
And this was like 88. So this was early. This was real early. But
Well,
I mean, I got a bunch of those stories. Like getting chased is part of the deal. Yeah.
man, sometimes some guys do it for the thrill of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got one more. So I was out with somebody. I'm not gonna say who it is, but we had just gone to a Jane's Addiction concert for New Year's Eve,
Yeah.
and someone could have been on mushrooms. I'm not really sure, but
Okay.
I'm just maybe,
All
you
right.
know. And we're tagging on the way home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 25 tags later, I'm like, yo, it's about enough. Let's go home. We're in Encino. We've done enough. No, one more. I said, all right, fool, you're gonna get caught. No, I'm not. Pulls over and got caught at one last tag.
And you were in the car?
Yeah, but I didn't get caught. I didn't do anything. I was sitting in the car, so they let me go. They let me drive the car home, actually. But the moral of the story is that one last tag is not necessary. There's always tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
I
Because it
feel you.
might
I
get
feel
you
you
in
on
jail. It might get you locked up.
that. Man, I had buddies like that too. They're all drunk and right there, like, all right, nothing gonna happen. There's one last one, and they start doing the most, and there you go,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. You guys just be careful.
And then the next day they come acting like it's my fault. Like, how's my fault? I told you.
It's like alcohol. Know your limit.
Yeah, you're not gonna. Hey, last round for alcohol, and then go buy a whole bottle.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah, man, it's the adventure and the stuff that goes behind the scenes that people don't understand. Because I share this a lot. Like a lot of people like to take pictures behind graffiti and pose and put it on music videos, but they don't understand what the writer had to go through to put that bomb piece or even tag there. They don't seem to appreciate it. To them, it's just like I'm gonna just put in my video, look cool, and that's it. And I was like,
Yeah, well, that's. I mean, I like when I see graffiti in other portions of our culture, like music videos and shit. For me, I don't care if it's big artists or small artists. They're perpetuating a lifestyle that we participate in, and
yeah,
I like that. I like that it's desirable. I don't like that corporate companies earn off it.
yeah,
But if you're a hip hop artist and you're out there representing the culture, you want to do it in front of, like Tupac used to shoot in front of graffiti all the time.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And Onyx, I remember when Onyx did a video, there was a gang of AWR pieces behind it when they shot downtown on this wall. And I think it was Slam. So like I like that. I think just because we get big doesn't mean we shouldn't be grateful or not grateful, but be excited when you see your shit and getting put out there and you didn't have to do it.
Does it ever bother you at all knowing that they say that graffiti is one of the elements of hip hop, but you look at the guys now that are doing hip hop like somebody big, like the Little Waynes or Drakes or whatever, and they don't show like I want to say respect because they're not entitled to give graffiti respect, but kind of like just acknowledge it.
It goes back to evolution. Everything can't look and smell and feel the same. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? I'm pretty sure Drake appreciates graffiti. I know he has street art and cause dolls and so there's it's the art form, the artistic expression is still a part of the culture. It's just in a different way.
okay,
It's like making music, for instance. They have one drum machine and now it's like a whole studio,
yeah,
and it's evolution.
okay. I got two more questions for you, but before we get out of here, one, when you were when you're an active writer and you were out there doing your thing, did the gang culture ever affect you in any way? Like they ever look at you like, oh, screw taggers or get out of here or get out of here before I do something to you type thing?
I mean, that's another one of those big questions, right? I think some crews act like gangs and
Yeah,
have gang like, you know, you know, it's rough out there in
yeah,
graffiti or gangs. Yeah, I got sweated by some gangs back in the day when I had my letters under my bill of my hat. What does that mean? Where are you from? So yeah, I mean it's when you're in any subculture that has similar movements, you run into these kind of situations possibly. I know graffiti writers have been stabbed and shot over going over each other
yeah, man.
or
It's
shot at. I'm not saying myself. I'll leave that one alone, but I'm just saying, it happens.
because I know there was an arrow. I mean, obviously through Fox 11 News with the tag banging, that they made it seem like, look at this guy and look at that guy, and then they come out like, ooh, ooh, and then
Well, I mean, look, on that note, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm from ICR. I mean, we got at fools
yeah,
and still do if necessary.
yeah,
So, there's no difference to me. Tag banging or tagging or graffiti is that we're all men. You disrespect me or you disrespect the homies, this is what's gonna happen, and it's part of the culture.
Okay.
So when tag banging came out, I didn't even, I don't know what that is. I didn't understand that. I mean, I'm sure it's real or was real, but I
Yeah.
just wasn't something that I really had anything to do with or acknowledged in any way because my homies were doing the same shit they were doing, but we weren't tag bangers. So I don't know.
Gotcha. Because I mean, some people don't understand the difference. You got guys like myself that we weren't there back then, so we just go off what we see or what we
Yeah, I
hear.
mean, it got rough for a minute. Like, it did get rough for a minute, and Tagger crew started kicking it up a little dust, but either you can handle it or you can't, and part of the weaning out process. Survival of the fittest. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
just lucky.
yeah, I
You
feel
know.
you on that. Is there anybody you want to shout out today before we get on out of here?
I think I shouted out everybody. Um, you know, I think I want to shout out my mom and dad for giving birth to me. Because I love my life. I love my friends. I love this opportunity to sit with you. Shout out Jesus Christ,
Shout out Jesus
for
Christ,
holding me down.
definitely. And again, I want to say thank you for coming down here and giving me a little bit of your time and talking to me today. Make sure to like and subscribe. Till next time.